It is a happy, happy day at Casa de Murder. During our last ham radio mobile install, I talked about wanting to put my ATAS on the passenger seat, but the Comet mount that I used didn't come for the passenger side. Well, Mick from Comet saw that video and he called me, said, hey, I can make one of those for the right-hand side. So he made 50 of them, sent me one. There's 49 of these available. This is a 2019 Ford Explorer XLT. This will fit anywhere from 2015 to 2019. So I am going to show you how I put this on the car, how I installed it. Then we're going to put it through some high-speed tests and see what it does on the freeway. We're going to tune it up and all that stuff. So Mick, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. You have made my day. So let's check it out. Now, before I show you how I installed it, I figured I'd show you the completed project. This is it. These nice, awesome mounts. They make these for all kinds of trucks, so it doesn't have to be a Ford Explorer, but they're all different. But passenger side with the ATAS installed, just like I have my Comet CA 2x4 VHF UHF antenna, the exact same way. So let me show you how I did it. So here is the mount. This is the exact same mount I have on the driver's side of my car, and now it exists for the passenger side. I have a 2019 Ford Explorer XLT, and this will fit 2015 to 2019 Ford Explorers. So you get the bracket, and you also get this little star washer thing to kind of dig in and dig into the paint and get you a good ground connection there. So that is that. Coax, I'm going to be using, Comet actually makes one of these, but I already bought one from Diamond. So this is the Diamond, I think it's a C211 or something. That's just the SO239 with about 7 feet of, this is RG316. And the Comet one, I wish I'd have known this, actually comes with a washer. I had to make this, I had this washer, but it had like a 1/4 inch hole in it. So I just drilled out with a step bit to make it fit over, and we're gonna need this because when that inserts from the bottom, you can see that hole is big, and the mount would actually just go right through it if we didn't have that, because this is actually made for an NMO, but because we're hams, nature finds a way. So the RG316 is terminated with this, I think it's a mini UHF, I believe they're called, and that's gonna connect here. And then we have our PL259 that this unscrews from the coax with another mini UHF, so it makes it easy for routing underneath your panels and stuff. So as far as tools, we just need whatever that wrench is called and a socket wrench. And I've got some zip ties here for tidying things up and some flush cutters, and that's kind of all we need. So let's get to installing our mobile HF bracket. So the first thing we got to do is mount the bracket, which we just have to pull this little plastic thing up, and these just pop out. And we're going to unscrew this bolt right here. Just like that. And now it's time to install the bracket. So I'm actually going to put this star washer underneath, and then we're just going to put our stock bolt back on. And we'll screw it in. You don't want to wrench it down yet because we want to make sure we have clearance from the hood. So I'm actually going to lower the hood. And because I didn't wrench that down all the way, we can still move it a bit and get it adjusted so it's nice and perfect. That looks good to me. Now I'll open the hood back up and we can go ahead and wrench this puppy down. Beautiful. And with just that done, you can see I've got continuity to various parts of the body. So grounding is actually pretty good just as is. Still not perfect. If you're into grounding and bonding, your noise floor will be lower, but that's what we're doing. And now we can install our SO239. So the washer is going to be on it. We're going to come up from the bottom, and there is a little bit of play there, but we can tighten that down with some K8MRD brute force. So we'll go ahead and get that secured. And I want my wire coming out as close to the body as possible. And now we can take our wrench and tighten this baby down. Now I've got to route the coax, so I'm actually going to run it around this bracket here, and then this thing just kind of flips down, and we're going to go, I'm just going to cram it in this little gap right here, and then down the door jamb there. So around. And we can kind of just force it down in there. And if you need help coaxing it, just get something plastic. I'm just using a little plastic spoon here. And that part is routed. Now we can snap these guys back on. All right. Done and done. Now I'm going to run the coax behind this little bracket, and I can kind of push the rubber that's there out of the way. So let's see if we can do this one-handed. Maybe. There we are. So now you can see it coming out the bottom there. So this is where we just forced the coax down, and we're going to go down the inside of the wheel well till we get to this bolt right here, and I'm going to throw a zip tie around that to secure the coax right there. And that is officially the hardest part of this install. So now we are coming from in the door jamb, and to route the cable inside, these panels just kind of pop off. Like such. And I'm just going to bring the coax in, and we can tuck it in all of this stuff, and we're just going to run it underneath the passenger seat where the radio is. So you can see coming in, and then just under this carpet, and then we're going to go underneath this floorboard. Now I can take the other end of the coax, connect it to this little mini UHF, and we're just going to tuck it underneath this next little runner here. And because my radio is right under the front seat, I can cram the coax under there. I'm going to coil it up a little bit, and then we'll plug it into the radio. We can also go ahead and put that back in. Now I've got the coax coiled up and zip tied, and we can go ahead and install our PL259 to the mini UHF connector. Plug in our coax like such. And I've also got a signal link in here for digital that I hooked up. So we can go ahead and plug that guy back in. Maybe. Where does it go? That one. And the USB cable. And we can cram everything back under the front seat. So that's what everything looks like under the front seat. Now we just have to hook up the antenna and try it out. Now power for HF is something I haven't figured out yet. I haven't drilled through the firewall, and I doubt I ever will, but that's what you got to do to get to the battery on these Ford Explorers. So you'll see the power cord there. I just use my battery box, and I just put it right there, and I plug in the cable thusly, and now I have power to the radio. So that's how I rock the power for my HF radio. And now we get to put the antenna on. And make sure you have clearance between the hood and the antenna when you open it. You may have to slide that mount in or out, but as you can see, we got just enough clearance there. Looks like it's hitting a little bit, but that is good enough for me. And isn't that just absolutely beautiful? ATAS on the passenger side where I wanted it, and my VHF, UHF on that side where I wanted it. Amazing. Now let's see how it tunes up. Now, with no grounding and bonding, let's see how well this tunes up. So we'll start, we're already tuned on 6 meters. So let's go to 10 meters, hit the tune button. You can see she's going up. And we're tuned. 12 meters. Tuned. 15 meters. Tuned. 17. Done. 20. 30. Done. And 40. Just like that, 6 meters through 40 meters, all tuning, no grounding, no bonding, just like that. And just to show you, here it is tuning 6 meters. Just like that. So now let's go for a drive and see how stable this mount is at high speeds. This camera mount that I'm using is very shaky, so we'll have to see how well this turns out. I have no idea, it might suck. All right, let's hop on the freeway and see what we can do at unsafe speeds. Here's 70 miles an hour. Here's 80 miles an hour, handling it like a champ. It's wobbling a tiny, tiny bit, no more than what would have wobbled with my Diamond K400 when I had my Fusion. Here's 90 miles an hour, like a boss, hardly even moving. We might be able to get up to 100, I'm not sure. Here we go. There's 100 miles an hour right there. Like a champ, this thing is awesome. That's barely moving. How many people actually drive 100 miles an hour besides me? Put a comment below. I can't drive 55. We are going 100 miles an hour. It's mostly wobbling because the whip, the stinger, is folded back. All right, I'm gonna say that passes the speed test. So now we're back at 80 miles an hour. Let's see if we can tune this up on 20. Let's see it raising up. And done. We just got a tune. Ha! You gotta love that. And here's the dulcet tones of FT8. 20 meters, tuned up, 80 miles an hour, no problem. Now, one final thing I want to address. In my last install videos, some people suggested putting this antenna on the driver's side, and the reason being, if you're parking on a curb, there's a lot of trees that overhang. Well, that doesn't make sense because this whip is very flexible. This has always been on the passenger side of my car, and when I park under trees, this wobbles and my VHF antenna doesn't. So I'm gonna say no. And that's it, guys. Now my UHF, VHF, HF ham radio mobile installation is finally complete. Again, a ginormous thank you to Mick at Comet. I'll leave a link for these. These are not on the website yet, but whenever they are, I will leave a link for these in the description, as well as 12-volt power. Guys, thanks so much for watching Ham Radio Tube. My name is Mike, K8MRD. We'll see you next time. 73.